it's Jennifer from Shabby Fabrics. Welcome to the December Table Glitz. We had a lot of fun designing this one. The main placemat is an ornament and your little coasters are Christmas trees. We had a lot of fun, and this time we're adding a beautiful band. That is available as a kit, and in the kit, these shapes are pre-fused laser cut, which I really love that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If that's something you're not familiar with, once I get done showing you briefly what's the difference between pre-fused laser cut versus tracing things yourself, you'll clearly understand the benefit of buying the kit because all of that's been done for you, the tracing and the cutting and all of that. Again, we've had a lot of fun with this one. We're using 3 beautiful threads from Superior called Glitter. We have the red, green, and gold, the 90 top stitch needle. We have bottom line color 622 in the bobbin on this one. And of course, we're using our Hugo's Amazing Tape. Once you do open up those spools of the glitter, there is no catch to keep that thread nice and contained. We like to use that Hugo's Amazing Tape to keep the thread nice and contained on the spool, and it's not getting a frayed mess in our sewing box. So with regard to the diagram, as always, you can either click on the link below. The description box will have a link to download the template, or go to the Shabby Fabrics homepage, the free downloads, and you're looking for the December Table Glitz. You'll want to go ahead and download that. And I'll be using our light box today from Daylight. I love this light box. I use it more and more. I find reasons even beyond, quilting and crafting. Anything I need to kind of see through a diagram and be able to see through to a fabric, I love it. I just love this light box. So if you are planning to use your own fabric, you would need to go ahead and get some Heat and Bond Light or a fusible product that you enjoy using, that you have had great success with. I'll go ahead and bring in my Heat and Bond Lights, what I'll be using today. And I would just go ahead and trace around my shape for my topper. And I do the same thing with the green band. And of course I need a bigger piece for that, and I've done that one ahead of time. I just wanted to show you the process. If you are not familiar with how does this whole thing work, this is how you go ahead and do, I just missed a little line there, that's how you do fusible applique. Fusible webbing. You have a diagram underneath, you get fusible webbing, you put that on top and you draw around the shape. Now you just roughly cut around. Don't cut exactly on the lines now. You'll see why in just a moment, because right at that point it's kind of wasting your time. So you're just roughly cutting around that shape. And I've already done the same with the band. Of course, I would get in here and just cut that. In fact, I would just use my rotary cutter and kind of roughly cut around that right now. Kind of get that out of the way. There we go. Now that I have the topper drawn, in fact, let's just close that down. Put that right there. You will have your iron. You don't want your iron to be too hot. Depending on the fusible product you're using, it's usually on a medium setting. You have to play around with that on your particular iron. Place that on there and iron it down. This is how you do fusible applique. You let that cool, and then you come in with your scissors, and I like to use something nice and sharp. And now is when you'll come in and actually cut on that line. One of the reasons pre-fused laser cut shapes are so desirable, here I'll quickly go through this process, and you'll do that for each shape that has applique. So it would be the topper and the band on this particular project. And if you're doing an applique quilt, this is the process that you would do over and over again. Trace on your fusible webbing, roughly cut around, iron it to the background, cut around precisely, and then you would, at that point, take that and you can see the glue transfer. When you buy a pre-fused laser cut kit, those shapes are already done. They already have the fusible webbing on the back and they're already perfectly cut to size. I love jumping straight into the sewing. This is a process that maybe is fun the first couple times, but it ends up being a chore. And so I love the precision. of the pre-fused laser cut kits, especially with intricate designs or circles. Circles are one of the hardest things to cut out to be perfectly round. So this is one of the pre-fused laser cut kits. Normally this does not, the red is not cut out to the shape, but the applique pieces are. Simply fold this back and look at that. There's no fusible, you don't need to purchase fusible webbing. They already come with that on there. So at this point, in fact, let me just take that light box out of our way entirely. And I'm gonna actually put this ornament together with you, and you can see just how quick and easy it is. And now you're literally ironing that down. So we can put that right on top of our light box. I think we'll be fine for this time. So let's bring that over here. We're just gonna go ahead and iron that down. Everything just fits like a puzzle because it's perfectly engineered with a laser. You don't get too much more precise with a laser. Okay, now that that's perfectly in position, I'm going to take one last look at that, make sure that's where I like it, and we'll iron it down. Oh yes, when we started having laser cut shapes, that was for me, all of a sudden, you know, projects that were applique became very attractive to me because I didn't have to do all the tracing and all the cutting and all of that. And so a lot of people do very much enjoy the laser cut kits. Okay, once that's down, I'm not going to stitch this down right now. Yeah, I know our instinct is to typically do that, but because we wanted to have a nice quilted look, we went ahead and stitched everything down at the very end. So with your other ornament that you would have traced, simply place that right sides together, and then you'll iron your fusible fleece to one side or the other. It doesn't really matter which side. And this is what you will have after that. And we kind of trimmed that away. And when making your coasters, you'll be layering it the same way with the fusible fleece. Just like the autumn table glitz, you'll make sure you want to plan an opening where you can leave that open to turn. And you'll, with your rotary cutter or with your Kai scissors, go trim away your excess fusible fleece or fusible batting, depending on what you're using. In those corners, you know, of course, continue around. In those corners, you're going to want to snip in just a little bit and try to help relieve some of the bulk in there. Just make sure you don't stitch too deep and cut your threads. So you'll go ahead, once you have all that done, let me just finish that up so I can actually turn that here. Again, using my Kai scissors, I want to snip in there and reduce some of that bulk right in there. And probably give a couple little extra snips in here, especially around those corners, or around those curves, I should say. There we are. Okay, had a little bit of a mess going here, don't I? That's what happens when you start trimming seam allowances down. You just have different threads and whatnot lying around. Boy, I could have left maybe a bigger opening here. We only have about a 3-inch opening. The wider the opening, the easier it is to go ahead and turn it through. It's just the more you'll have to tuck under by your hands, pin it together and sew that seam closed. But of course, turn your project through. You'll be using your Glitz seam turner. You turn everything all the way through, just like we've done before. Now that it's turned out, I take that and I just iron everything nice and flat again. And just like before with our November table glitz, I'm just going to turn that under 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch here and pin. Of course, I want to hold that all in place. And you have to finesse it when it's a curve. It just takes time. There aren't really any, this was obviously not a long enough straight line, straight edge. that I could make my opening here. So in this instance, you're around a curve, but this is why you like to, if you're leaving an opening, when you can do that on a straight line, that's why it's desirable. It does take just a little bit more finesse to get a nice round shape. This is when the fun threads come into play, and you'll go ahead, let me show you the finished one we have. We use the red, of course, around this part, and for the green here, and of course the gold at the top, and again the bottom lines in the bobbin. So that's how we finish the ornament. And then as far as the little coasters go, we use the green thread, and we just did nice beautiful lines kind of accentuating the beautiful Christmas tree. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss when our next video is available.